Hey everyone, and welcome back to Carol and Frank's Wild Ride. I'm so glad you're here for episode 2, From Clashing to Connecting. In our last episode, we set the stage for one of the most iconic TV couples of the 90s, Carol Foster and Frank Lambert from Step by Step. We talked about how they met, their quirky Jamaican wedding, and the absolute chaos of blending two families overnight. But today we're diving deeper. Because let's be real, falling in love is one thing. Figuring out how to live together, that's a whole different challenge. This episode is all about those early days of Carol and Frank trying to make it work under one very crowded roof. From parenting clashes to personality differences, we're breaking down these two's very different styles. So whether you're a longtime fan of Step by Step or you're just here for some good old-fashioned relationship growth, let's get into it. Frank and Carol's relationship continues to evolve as they navigate life's small moments and unexpected hurdles. It starts off lighthearted. Frank walks into the kitchen to tell Carol his nephew's coming to visit, completely forgetting that it's also their 1-month wedding anniversary. Carol, slightly disappointed, reminds him. He's caught off guard and asks if they were supposed to exchange gifts. She reassures him that no, they're already each other's gift. They kiss, seemingly in sync, or so it seems. Later, Carol pulls her sister Penny away from the hair salon to show her the jacket she bought Frank, despite saying they weren't doing gifts. Penny is surprised, but Carol clearly wants to mark the moment. Then, Frank arrives unexpectedly, and Carol panics, handing off the box to Penny to hide. Frank casually mentions he's off to the hardware store to pick up a saw. Carol and Penny laugh, thinking saw must be code for some kind of gift. When Frank later opens the jacket Carol bought him, he's genuinely surprised. He really thought they weren't doing presents. Carol then spots the bag he brought back and assumes it's her turn, but inside, it's an actual saw. Disappointed, she believes he bought her a tool for their anniversary. Frank insists it's just a tool for work. Carol fires back that no gift was one of those things women say, but deep down, she'd hoped for something thoughtful. Words reach Ivy, Carol's mom, who's livid that Frank didn't get her daughter anything. Frank arrives with a single rose, but Carol isn't impressed. That's when Penny steps in and tells him he needs to do something big, bold, romantic, something to remind Carol why she fell in love with him. Frank takes it to heart. He blindfolds Carol and leads her into the salon, which he's transformed into a tropical paradise. It's his way of creating Jamaica, where their love story began. Carol is touched. She asks who did all of this, and Frank proudly says it was him. He even recruited JT to act as their waiter for the night. Sure, the flaming tiki torches in a salon full of hairspray weren't the safest idea, but it was heartfelt. In that moment, Carol softens. She tells him that what she really wants is for him to keep showing up like this, not just on anniversaries, but in the everyday moments too. And from here on out, she promises to be clear about what she wants. Their marriage, however, isn't just about grand gestures. It's also about learning to live together, and that means bumping into each other's habits and expectations. One night, after a long day, Carol just wants to take a quiet bath. Frank suggests joining her, just like they did in Jamaica, but she turns him down, asking for some alone time. It's a small thing, but it reveals how even in close relationships, space matters. The next day, Frank clashes with Carol when he finds out his son JT quit the construction site and started working as a shampoo boy at Carol's salon. What starts as a disagreement turns into something deeper. Carol calls Frank out for the double standard. He's fine with her working in the salon, but not his son. Frank insists that guys are supposed to work with their hands, and Carol pushes back, explaining that just because his dream was Lambert and Son doesn't mean it has to be JT's dream too. It's one of those moments that exposes the cracks in their dynamic, not from lack of love, but from the reality of merging two different upbringings, two different sets of values. Carol challenges Frank when it matters, and Frank, though stubborn, hears her. The back and forth, the way they push and pull each other, is what keeps their relationship growing. When Frank excitedly brings up the Port Washington family games, a tradition his family has won 3 years in a row, Carol sees an opportunity. She suggests their blended family should all compete together. It could be a great bonding experience. Frank hesitates, quietly doubting whether her kids can hold their own. As the games get closer, things spiral into another disagreement. Carol's kids want to quit. Frank pretends to be disappointed, but secretly he is relieved. Until Carol changes her mind, that is, reminding Frank that they're a family now, and families show up for each other. Game day arrives, and it's chaos. Carol and Frank start bickering again, especially when she accuses him of caring more about winning than the experience. Frank finally confesses. Winning is the only time he feels seen or appreciated. Carol challenges that. What really matters is teaching their kids to work together as a team. They're still arguing when Penny literally ties them together for the three-legged race. Predictably, they fall flat, but it's the fall, messy, awkward, and honest, that captures exactly who they are as a couple. Just when they're finding their footing, a letter arrives from Jamaica revealing that the little shack where they got married wasn't legally certified. Carol panics. Frank takes this in stride, suggesting they head down to the courthouse to make it legal. Carol agrees, but she longs for something more meaningful than a rushed legal formality. Frank promises they'll dress up, pop some champagne, and make it special. But on the day of their wedding, things unravel. Ivy makes a passive comment that Carol may be the only daughter who ever gets married, unintentionally hurting Penny's feelings. Then Frank shows up late, dirty from work, and drops the bombshell. He can't stay for lunch afterward because he has to head back to the job site. Carol's heart sinks. He offers her the burrito that he bought instead. Carol's heart sinks. He offers her a burrito instead. That's it for her. She walks out. At home, they argue. Carol tells him she feels forgotten. Frank insists that Jamaica was their real wedding. Carol says this moment was supposed to be a do-over, something that made her feel chosen again. They agreed to try again, this time with an actual officiant and a Saturday wedding. But when the clown cancels on Brendan's birthday party, Frank has to choose. Be the husband Carol's waiting for, or the father Brendan needs in that moment. Frank becomes the clown. The kids love it. Brendan is thrilled, but Carol, alone in her dress, waiting again, feels let down. That is, until she walks out and sees Frank, still in full clown makeup, having put his son first. It's a bittersweet moment. Carol knows he's a good father, but Frank finally understands he's been falling short as a partner. They get married, this time legally, and surrounded by their chaotic, imperfect, very real family. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't easy, but it was them. And through all the miscues, awkward moments, and second tries, Carol and Frank keep choosing each other. Frank's heart is often in the right place. He's trying to juggle work, fatherhood, and being a husband, but he struggles with follow-through. Carol, on the other hand, is constantly looking for signs that she's still being chosen, not just tolerated in Frank's life. When Carol discovers their wedding in Jamaica wasn't legally binding, it brings up something much deeper than paperwork. For her, this second wedding is a chance to reaffirm their commitment, publicly, intentionally, and with care. But when Frank shows up late, dirty, and rushed, he unintentionally sends the message that she's not worth slowing down for. Frank doesn't mean to hurt her, he just doesn't see the moment the same way. To him, their bond was already sealed in Jamaica, but that's the central conflict. He's focused on what has been, while Carol is longing for what still could be. His decision to skip the rescheduled wedding to become the clown isn't malicious, it's parental instinct. He wanted to make Brendan happy, especially after the clown canceled, but in doing so, he leaves Carol waiting again. And it's not the first time. What makes this moment powerful is that it finally hits Frank. He can't keep expecting Carol to wait around while he figures it out. The man in the clown suit becomes a metaphor for the kind of partner he's been. Goofy, loving, but never quite where he's supposed to be. Yet, the moment Carol sees him fully committed to making their son smile, even in a clown costume, she gets it. This is who Frank is. Flawed, earnest, reactive, and deeply loving. Their second real wedding doesn't have to be perfect to be meaningful. In fact, that's what makes it work. Because for Frank and Carol, love has never been about grand gestures or perfect timing. It's about showing up again and again, even after falling short. Carol and Frank's journey isn't about picture perfect romance, it's about the real work of blending two lives and two families. Their relationship is messy, mismatched at times, and full of growing pains. But underneath it all is a steady commitment to figure it out together. Whether they're bickering in the kitchen, facing off in a three-legged race, or sharing a laugh in a makeshift Jamaican salon, Carol and Frank keep choosing each other, even when it's not easy. And that's what makes their story so relatable. Because love, especially in blended family, isn't about getting it right the first time. It's about showing up, learning, and trying again, even if you have to do it in a clown suit. If you've enjoyed this look at Carol and Frank's ups and downs, stick around. There's so much more to explore, from parenting styles to growing pains, and how each episode deepens their connection in surprising ways. Be sure to come back for the next chapter, where we'll dive deeper into how their relationship continues to evolve and what it teaches us about love, compromise, and family.